Hello and welcome to part 2 of my Legio Titanicus Warbringer Nemesis Titan construction guide. I think you'll agree the last video, part 1, the first part was very exhaustive. I went through a lot of topics and from now on it's going to be a bit more condensed, concise. So the first thing I want to draw your attention to is, while you're building these things, it's good to have something running in the background. I've got a little, Netflix thing going on there. Sometimes I'll mix it up and have YouTube videos playing, Warhammer videos, even videos of this Titan, of things that I'm building, and painting videos and news and all the rest of it. So that's what I typically have to help me go through this. It means I'm not just sitting here by myself in silence building a giant robot. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare each part. Now, you may have seen my video or pictures on Instagram or anything like that about preparing the resin pieces. Games Workshop are very, very proactive in this because they provide you with a little guide here of preparing the pieces. It is here, preparation, checking and cleaning. Check your purchase to ensure you're happy with all the components, and if you have any concerns, please contact ForgeWorld customer service team. In the unlikely event you have any issues, it would be helpful if you can provide us with a batch code and photo of the problem. ForgeWorld customer service are amazing in my experience. Yes, failure rate is about 20 or 30% of the models in terms of issues or missed parts. I mean, I was missing the barrels for my fell blade tank for as an example. That was pretty poor. I think also my Warhound Titan, the Vulcan Megabolter, I had to go through 2 warped Megabolters before I got a good one. So there are issues now and again, but I've got hundreds of ForgeWorld models and majority of them have been fantastic. But if you ever have any issues at all, don't be afraid. Take a picture of the issue on your phone, email them. They usually send you out a replacement piece, or they'll contact you and they'll make sure that that you get the satisfaction you expect, because these models are expensive luxury items and you want them to be right. Anyway, it goes on to say, clean each part in warm water with a good degreasing agent such as dishwashing liquid. If you've got money to burn to pour down the drain, I would suggest you get like the Fairy Liquid Platinum, which gets through grease even better, and put some of that into a plastic container with some warm water, not cold, warm water, not boiling water though, because that'll warp all your pieces, but warm water with that. Leave it in there for at least 3 hours, overnight if you can. Next morning, rinse each part off with a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, or your current one, but an old toothbrush, not this brush, but with an old toothbrush. Rinse it and just brush each part really carefully, because if you don't do that, you're not going to get what's called releasing agent off the pieces. And you can tell, because when you've got a piece, it's really shiny. This is a little bit shiny, but there is no grease on there. There's no releasing agent. This has already been pre-soaked and washed, and it's been sat in my box for a while. So if you don't get that releasing agent off this greasy stuff, the paint just won't stick at all. If you spray, if you use an airbrush, whatever, it's gonna go on, but it's gonna wipe straight back off. It's not gonna stick at all. So it's really worth taking the time to wash and clean these parts. That's one of the downsides with resin models. It's just one of those things that they have to go through, and it's part of this process of building one of these models of a resin kit, any resin kit that ForgeWorld do. With plastic, of course, you don't need to do any of that at all. You can just spray those models straight from being built, but this needs a bit more care and attention. So I'm going to get all the parts now, which are in boxes. So I've got, these are the weapons. I kind of separated them out. So this is for the top balcony area. This is part of the Quake cannon, massive thing. I think it'd actually go that way, wouldn't it? This is Yeah, well, we all know what that is. And then you've got things like, yeah, the Princeps and the Moderati, and then you've got the banks for the ammo, and the heat sinks for the volcano cannons. You know, so I've got all the weapons and things in here. They've all been washed, they're all clean. You've got a bit of dust on them, so I need to get rid of that. But they are good to be prepared. And what I mean by prepared is clip and saw these pieces off, which we'll go through in a moment. We're not doing the weapons though, so these can go back somewhere, and I'll go get the main parts of the model. So ever wondered what Nemesis Warbringer Titan looked like in a box just as parts? Well, here's one I made earlier, or didn't make earlier. Here it is. So these are all the parts of the Warbringer body squeezed into one Titan box. I think this thing came in 2 boxes. I need to go back and look at my unboxing video, but still, these are all the pieces. They've all been prepared, so they've been in batches of, so they've been washed in batches of plastic containers with warm water and degreasing agent, you know, just fairy liquid or whatever, and then they've been rinsed and brushed, and then they've been left to dry naturally, rather than, you know, just with a towel or whatever. Just leave them to dry naturally, and then they've been put back in here. Some people do prefer to put all their pieces, just dump it all in the bath. The only downside to that is the bath has a plug hole and if you're not careful, you can see some of the smaller parts, you know, go down the drain, and then you are literally pouring money down the drain. So make sure you've got some kind of stopper with that, or some kind of containment. You don't want to come back to a bathtub and find out that it's been accidentally drained, or there's been a plug hole malfunction and you've lost a few pieces. That's why I'd like to keep that risk at a minimum by just doing them in batches. I think this only took me about 3 batches of plastic containers, which is nothing really. So that's how I did it. All these pieces are ready to go. I will be snipping the gates off the armor pieces and showing you all of the pieces, including the weapons actually. I'll do that in these selections of videos. I'll show you all of them completely prepared, and that will be in the next video. So what I'll do now is get all of the body parts out on this board. This is why it's important to have such a massive board. I think this is like A2, maybe A1 size cutting mat. It looks like it's almost a meter wide. But anyway, I'm gonna get all of these out, show you how to cut some of these off the gates, and then we'll see all of these parts you know, completed and ready to be assembled. And then once all these parts are clipped, I'll show you how to prepare them ready for gluing. So that means getting rid of all the mold lines, any slippage that you may have encountered. I'll do all of that in this video. So join me in the next part where you'll see all these pieces on the mat ready to have all the gates clipped. Okay, so that is all of the pieces out of the box. I would have more room on the desk if I didn't have you know, the iPad going along, but I need something in the background while I'm placing all of these parts. So what we're going to do is we are going to prepare all of the pieces for the foot and toe assembly. We're not going to build the upper leg joint today. We are just going to focus on the lower leg and the toes and get both of those complete. Now I've got the supports for the shins, I want to call them. There are 8 in total. They're all labelled. It says out, it says front, it says out, so I take it the out ones are at either side, and that I guess says rear. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So yeah, these can go away for a little while. You've got toes, you've got 2 feet, as you can see, I've laid them out, and I think these can go pretty much anywhere, but you do get an extra one, so you get 9 toes in total, and this one is a little bit bent in a way, and that's so that you can have this Titan you know, moving along. Either have that so that you can place just one toe as he's striding forwards, or you could put it on a rear toe, I guess, to signify him just put his foot down maybe, but I'm not going to use that. You only get one. I want this to be a solid firing platform, like I said, so I want all the toes having maximum contact with the board or table, or you know, the base contact surface. So anyway, I'm not going to use that, so that's going to be put aside, but I am going to prepare all these and we'll go through that in a moment. Okay, I've successfully clipped off all the little gates and things from the pieces that we're going to be gluing together today. So all the kind of parts that make up the lower leg, and the toes as well. Now, just as an example, I wanted to make a pig's ear out of a toe. Not many times a modeler would purposely do this to not wreck a model, but to make a mistake, to show you just as an example. But that's me. I do that. I do these things. I take these measures to give you an example of the way you should do it and where you shouldn't do it. Now, this is the bent toe, as I've already said. This is the one that I wasn't going to use, so I thought I would clip it off instead of sawing it. And as you can see, it's taken quite a big chunk out of you know, the detail. You can see that. So now it dips. It's going to be very hard to rectify that. You could put green stuff on, but then you're going to have to wait a day or two, you know, day or so for the green stuff to harden. Then you're going to have to file it down, measure it. You know, a mistake like that is costly in time for this, and it could just have been avoided by sawing. You know, if you saw these parts, look, yes, they've got a bit extra on there, but that's so much more manageable now. Got a nice flat edge to it, so much more manageable now to use a knife and to level that out, and you can do that. So that's what we're doing. We're going to start off with this piece, which is the foot base. So you've got the foot bases and the toes themselves. You've got 8 toes there, foot bases, and these armour plates. Now, unfortunately, these armour plates don't like clip in like the Warlords do. The Warlords are very, very good. They've got way more detail. The frame of them, this armour plating around the edge of the piece is much more thinner. It's a lovely thinner bezel, more intricate detail, more bolts, all the rest of it. It's just better, and it's thinner, and like I say, it clips. This one doesn't clip. This one just will go on there, and you have to glue it in place. There's no way around that. Unfortunately, it's one of those things, and you've got to be careful how and where to glue it. And I would only glue it after you've glued the toes, because if you were to glue it like at a wrong angle and then you put it down, it would break it. Now, yeah, this is the way they've done it is the way they've done it, but these parts are going to be prone more to snap off when you're moving the model across the board or whatever. I was tempted to spray these separately, but like a lot of these pieces in the process, sometimes you have to wait a little while until the answers present themselves when you get hands-on with the kit. Just looking at it and looking at the pieces, you may think you have an idea of putting it all together, but until you actually get it in your hands and you play about with it, that's when these answers reveal themselves in the processes. So, all that being said, I will be gluing the toes to these foot bases and gluing the armour pieces once they're glue, once they're set. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go away, and this is how I'm going to do it. So you can see there's a bit of an extra part there, you know, from me clipping it off the gates. I'm going to very gently just shave it, so there's a little bit more there to go left over. Very shave it with this blade. I'm looking for slippage, mould lines. Can't really see any. It's very good sculpt. There might be like 1 or 2 in these crevice areas. You're not going to see them, especially with the toes on as well. So it's a well-made piece of kit, I believe. Also interesting to see, you know, where this goes and which is the front and which is the rear, because it is an odd kind of shape there. Now it doesn't make it that obvious on the CAD design, but because it doesn't show you like a top-down view, only sort of like that view. But from the design, you can see that this curved top of the foot base, this elongated curved top here, is the front of the foot. So that's where I'm going to put the front toe, and then the outer toes, and then the rear toe. So I'm going to go away and shave all of these off for all of these pieces. Then I'll show you what I do for sanding and filing down, but I'll be doing that outside. So join me in the next part of this video.